Looking for my place on assembly lines, fake prizes rising out of the bomb holes. Skeleton boys hyped up in purple, smoke rings blow from across the disco. Banknotes burn like broken equipment. Looking for shelter, readjust your position. Thought control, ghost written confessions. 2 dimensions, dumb your head down. Duck don't look now, company missiles. Power is raunchy, when the cops are watching. Make your dreams out of paper mache. Cliche wasted, hate taste tested. Hell yes, now moving this way, I'm doing this thing.
Please enjoy.
Hell yes, now I'm turning it on, I'm working my legs. Hell yes, now I'm calling you out, I'm switching my plates.
Please enjoy.
Hell yes, now I'm cleaning the floor, my beat is correct. Stretch to the limit, attention span, snap back, retract, collapse into laugh tracks, noise response, applause and hand claps.
Good evening. This was an unexpected little live stream this evening, 11:16 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on the evening of Tuesday, May 30th, year 2023. My name is Mark Kulak. This is Houstonic Live, brought to you by someone who was in the tech industry for many years, but you already know that. This is the show brought to you, of course, by all of these wonderful people here on Patreon. Thank you so much. Many expenses associated with the particular program. And thank you to these people here for 2022 contributions on Venmo and PayPal. And for the people who have yet to be identified, thank you for 2023. But I don't want to spend too much time on this particular program, so let's just get right down to business, shall we?
I like your bass.
Oh, okay. The title of the program is Theory and In Vivo Application of Electroporative Gene Delivery. Interesting title for a show. Why would you be interested in watching this particular show? Here's the research paper that we're talking about here, okay? Now, electroporation, and I will describe it poorly because I'm not a virologist, but is the use of physical instrumentation to apply an electrical charge to cells, either in a dish or inside the live animal. And the goal of this is to weaken the cell membranes, or at least maybe not weaken them, but at least relaxing them, and making it easier to for foreign material or naked DNA or any other type of material you're trying to do. In particular, it's done for the purposes of gene delivery, to get those injected genes, however they may be wrapped up into the cells whose cell membranes are being weakened. And there's a whole art to this. It's the equipment that Inovio ultimately bought through various purchases from another company called Inovio AS and Genentronics, etc. And there's a few other companies that have made said products, and there's different patents. It's not, you don't just, plug it in a 110 volt outlet and flip a switch. I mean, it has to be a low charge. It has to be, there's the pulse rate. There's lots of, there's whether or not you're going to be measuring the feedback, and there's a lot to it, okay, to say the least. And obviously I'm not the right person to be selling the products. Nonetheless, though, there is a lot to it. And I've read through this paper before, I shouldn't say. Well, I presented this paper before. And, of course, it comes to our attention because of Robert Malone. We know who he is. And Jill Glasspool Malone. Okay. The main thing is that the very first name, Stella Somiari, has been at the Windber Institute since year 2000 or 2001. And that's basically the show right there. So, I don't know what else to say. I'm not familiar with Stella Somiari's work that well. Stella Somiari. Let's see here. She's still the she's a senior director of the Windber Institute. I apologize. I said chief scientist. She's a senior director at the Windber Institute. And she's been there since October of 2000. So I don't know how many of the papers that the Malones have written with Stella Somiari. I know that Robert Malone had worked with the University of Maryland as the assistant professor, either directly or very in close proximity to Bob Gallo for about 2 or 3 years. And we know who Bob Gallo is. And then we know that David Hone, the long-term association that Robert Malone had beforehand and afterwards with David Hone, was also at the University of Maryland, Baltimore branch. We know that Malone leaves the University of Maryland, Baltimore branch, according to his resume, at least the 2017 version, to join the United States Uniformed Health Services in fall of 2000. It was the fall of 2000. And he stays there till sometime in 2001, late 2001. Now, the Uniformed Health Services has their main branch, their main office, next to Walter Reed in Maryland. And their secondary branch, if you will, at least for their cancer research, is the Windber Institute. So, in a way, the Windber is connected also with Walter Reed, and their all of their trials and all of their medical research. It's just interesting that of all of the different technologies that Stella Somiari can be the primary author on, of all of the technologies involving gene therapy, nonetheless, she's the main name on this electroporative gene therapy document. I mean, I don't know what else to say. That's Inovio. And this isn't to say that Stella Somiari has any. We're not making any accusations here at all. Let's just be clear. No accusations at all. I'm very aware, especially as time goes on, that many engineers and scientists are caught up in the machine and all over the place in all different fields, and they are not really aware of how they fit into something bigger, right? You get your little piece, you work on your little part of the assembly line, and little do you know that you're actually making something bigger and possibly horrible. You don't know. Or maybe if you think of the potential, but you try to do the best you can in the role you got. So it doesn't mean I'm not trying to say anything like that. But it might help, how would you say, jar some memories loose for Robert Malone. He's struggling to remember where he was on September 11th, 2001. Maybe he was, participating in some electroporative gene therapy delivery exercises with the senior director of the Windber Institute for the last 22 years. Of course, she would have just been joining the institute at that time. I don't know. Now I'm not familiar with the other names on this document here. Now I'll go to how I archive, and if I open up the W's, I have a page for things related to the Windber Medical Center around the year 2000, 2001, including the groundbreaking of the big renovation, which starts around August 30th of 2000. So, matter of fact, this is around the same time that this paper on electroporation was written. So she becomes a primary author, Stella Somiari, of electroporative gene delivery, officially now because of that paper, which was written, or I should say accepted in September of 2000, published probably in November of 2000. Let's see here. It could be this one here from May 17th, 2001. We're talking about Colonel Shriver here. Here's Nick Jacobs checking out the samples, the tissue samples, 40,000 can be stored in this cool little tank, and that's Nick Jacobs doing his work over here. This is Richard Somiari. So Stella Somiari must be married to Richard Somiari. That would make sense. So Richard Somiari is the scientific director. See, I'm just figuring stuff out as I talk right now. Richard Somiari is and again, the color here is bad. Is the man facing the computer, and the guy sitting down is Nick Jacobs, the guy who was previously a musical director. And electrophoresis is a technique that places fluorescent labels on DNA. Interesting. So there's probably other interesting applications to gene delivery as well, gene therapy as well. Okay, so this is Richard Somiari here, and as you can see, this is actually an update. This article here from October 12th, 2001. I'll get my head out of the way. And it's on the same page. They're talking about they have to issue death certificates for people they can't find from the plane crash. And they're giving updates on the Cutting Edge Research Institute. Same page. Same page. That's pretty remarkable. Is it not? Same page. So here's another picture of Richard Somiari. I'm assuming that's the I'm gonna take a wild guess, and that's the husband of Selma Somiari. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Windber will offer vaccine for men who have had surgery for prostate cancer when it receives approval, she said. The Human Genome Project is determined nearly... look, it ties into the Human Genome Project right there. Nice. Has determined nearly the entire code. So they're getting this thing ready for the Human Genome Project here. That's the whole thing. I don't really have a whole lot more to add, but now I would just say that Stella Somiari, it looks like her husband Richard as well, was a scientific director, which is fine. Okay, I mean, people have cancer, and we support the cancer research dollars. That's not the problem here. The problem is there seems to be something else amiss with respect to September 11th, 2001. Not to mention the fact that they're talking about, this isn't the scientist's decision, by the way, the fact that they can't even find the people from the plane who crashed. But the long story short is that we know that Malone has been interested or been compelled to explore DNA delivery, not mRNA, DNA delivery, electroporation, using these devices, similar, or the devices that Inovio ultimately acquired in 2004, 2005, 2006, because of the delivery of new genes was failing in every way that they've tried. And that was highlighted by the death of Jesse Gelsinger in 1999. Of course, the people who ran the review board was Inder Verma, who gave Malone his post-traumatic stress disorder, and published, or I should say, accepted for publication in September of 2000, and then printed in September or November of 2000, is a high-level overview of theory and in vivo application of electroporative gene delivery, gene therapy. Co-written with Jill Glasspool Malone. Primary author, Stella Somiari. Stella Somiari is the 20-year director of the Windber Research Institute, the institute that is renovated, overseen by Donna Shalala, Representative Murthy, but from the science and business end, by his own resume, Robert Malone was involved in that, and it's this research center that's connected with the U.S. Uniformed Health Services, Walter Reed, and is only 15 miles from the crash site of Flight 93 in rural Pennsylvania. And it appears as though the Institute was completed in time for the fall, for the most part, for the fall of 2001 as a exploring gene therapy and exploring vaccines to cure or to protect against cancer. So that's it, guys. Can keep continuing to move that ball forward. We'll talk more about this tomorrow, last day of the month. We'll definitely want to do a little bit of streaming at some time in the day, try to get my numbers up a little bit for the month. So thank you for joining. I'm not going to do any questions because I don't want to go too long here. And take care, everyone. God bless.